Hello everyone, this is Bradley. Today we are going to talk about this ice cream animation inspired by CG shortcuts using Cinema 4D. Knowing that Blender is not as advanced as other paid softwares that readily provides all kinds of particle or fluid simulations, and that even within Blender itself, geometry nodes cannot read its own legacy particle system. Many people may find the initial implementation funny to look at. Usually, I would say it's a parameter issue, and while that's not necessarily wrong, this time it's actually related to very real technical limitations that force me to finish it in that bad way. It's sad for me to see people's negative comments because they are about technical limitations that I cannot overcome by myself. It's also sad for me to see people's positive comments because Blender still has decades to go to be comparable with other paid software. For example, the melting Suzanne animation I made in the past has nothing to do with real complex fluid simulation, but it works for that specific case. This is what we're going to do today as well. Many of the concepts and the techniques involved were discussed or studied last year or even earlier. You can see particle systems and collisions, and volume grid discussed in many places, whether in tutorials or on sales. Now that it's 2026, we are going to refresh our memory and add some additional understandings. Overall, so please take this tutorial with a grain of salt. So here we are in the Blender node editor. Firstly, let's start with the model we need to collide with. I will do some quick and simple modeling with a cube, elongate that in edit mode, and add a subsurf modifier to smooth it out, Ctrl R to add a loop cut in the middle, and Ctrl B for beveling to both sides. And finally, widen it a little bit. So now we have this kind of simple structure to serve as a collider. I will rename it as inner shell. Next, I will add a new plane to hold the geometry node tree, remove the group inputs, and pull our inner shell object into the node tree. You can hide the original object now. Then we need a simple particle system using concepts I've discussed before in the bullet collision tutorial. We started with a field mesh circle as an emitter. I will use parenting nodes to assign an empty to control its orientation and position. And I will change the empty display from a sphere to arrows so we can clearly see the orientation. As I flip the empty by 180 degrees, you can more clearly see it's pointing downwards. I use point distribute to generate particles, then add a simulation zone and join particles so they emit every frame. I enable seed per frame, so each frame it spawns particles at places with a different patterns. I will increase the range on the timeline so we can have more time to preview the animation we have. Here it's important to note that our emitter size corresponds to the empty x-axis in the viewport. And if we scale down the empty, we scale down the emitter. In some extreme cases, you will find the points doesn't show up anymore, and you will have a warning about the current undesired situation. So here we go to the advanced settings and increase the values to very large, and we can see the points again. Overall, this is a limitation due to the algorithm of this preset I made. And in case you encounter any issue, you know what to do now. For the tutorial, I will scale the empty to some sort of visible size, but I will explain why this scale will be important later as well. Anyway, right now we're spawning particles in the same place over time. I want to move them, so I use the normal direction as the velocity, and within the simulation zone, use a set position with the velocity to move these particles. Playing the animation, you can see how particles are moving. I will go to variance panel and turn down the direction variance and scale up our normal velocity by 3 times. As a result, you will see the particles are moving straight downwards in a faster velocity. Now we have a basic particle system, although it has nothing to do with our inner shell object created earlier. The next step is to develop a particle collision system. Fortunately, the algorithm we need here can be relatively simple. We start with collision detection using proximity fourth, set it to geometry mode. We visualize this proximity fourth. We will have a warning suggesting to increase the scale offset. So I will do 5 and 2 so you can see a small area being lightened in our particles, which is basically the border of our inner shell. We are going to use a switch with these 4 values. That's if no collision, we use the original velocity. Now if we play the animation, you see particles will stop at the top of inner shell. We can join geometry at the end to visualize both geometry better. We then need the particles to slide along the surface. We sample the nearest surface for the normal and project our velocity onto this normal. And then use velocity to subtract this projection. It sounds convoluted verbally, but as notes, these are pretty clear. Now if we play the animation, you can see some particles flowing along the surface, which is exactly what we want. I'm not going to explain this algorithm in too much details, because I don't fully understand it myself while it's working. In most other software and even in Blender, it's provided directly without users needing to understand the math behind it. Here we cannot use the particle system because we need geometry nodes. But all the particle system cannot be read by geometry nodes. So we have to build our own particle system with physics here from scratch. Fortunately, it only takes several simple nodes for a relatively simple function. Before I move on, I want to mention some other important aspects. One thing is another limitation in node simulation. Right now, if you check the simulation, you find it's quite perfect, but either you increase the velocity, you will have these particles penetrating the surface. Or if you decrease the proximity fourth, you will see similar issues. These are the cases where detection fails. And in Blender simulation, we do not have subframes yet to increase the accuracy. So either you make them slow or you increase the threshold of detections in this scale offset. These are important parameters that you have to tweak yourself. The second thing is that the particles are naturally flowing down the hill, and therefore there are some areas not being covered ever. Because our emitter is relatively small, you can increase the size of our emitter to solve this problem, but then you may end up a very thick bulge looking ugly. So here I'm going to use another method by rotate vector, and I will add a little bit of random rotation so that they will flow a bit more randomly along the surface. Now we basically have our particle system done. It's far from being perfect and professional, but for this specific animation, it seems good for our needs. Most of what we've done here is also just a repetition of all the tutorials except this collision algorithm to flow along the surface. Once the particles and the collisions are done, the next step is to turn them into volume geometry. For the sake of tutorial, I will bake the simulation to make my future work more easily. But before that, I will link the amount to the group input so we can control it more easily in case we need to go back to this parameter. Let me increase the count to 300, and now we are prepared to review the timeline and go to the simulation panel for a bake. I will hit escape to stop our baking. You can see we have about 250 frames of pink strips from the bake cache. I think it's enough for our animation and the tutorial. And now we can freely slide on the timeline without keep playing animation from start. Now within the node tree, we are going to add 2 volume grids and the volume grid geometry, which turn particle into point SDF and output. So now playing the animation, it looks like kind of fluid simulation. There are areas being very sparse because we have too little count. You should know that in actual fluid simulation, there are trillions of particles for details, while we don't have here for the sake of tutorial. There are two other things I want to discuss. One thing is the voxel size, which is responsible for the accuracy of the setup. You can decrease it to make it more accurate, but it also shows the blobs more prominently. Another thing is the point radius. Given we have little amount of particles, I will use large radius to cover up the sparse area. At the end, I will use a smooth position or smooth geometry and put it to a high iteration count to blur up all these blobbing looking. Given the parameters, it actually explains why we have this 6 giant flow, because we need large radius to cover our low amount of particles. If your radius is thin, while not enough particles, the results will keep flickering in quite a broken way. Reducing flickering, you need a smaller voxel size and a smaller radius. This also means you need more particles to cover the surface. While right now I have kept all the parameters quite fast on my specification, you need to know that Blender geometry nodes right now geometry nodes are totally CPU based, and other particle systems in other softwares are using GPU to handle. If I improve the parameter, it can finally lead to exaggerated calculation time and bake time. So for the sake of this tutorial, I will keep our fluid very thick to make sure everything is fast. As for your final render in your project, I don't know. Anyway, the core effect is basically done. Now we have a second major task to accomplish, adding the peanut toppings. If it were not for the issues mentioned earlier, this would actually be my main motivation for making this tutorial. While the process itself is simple, there are many techniques I want to mention explicitly. I will try to keep this part short. Since we're using particles, we can instance peanuts based on the particle position. From the particle output, we use instance on points. To quickly generate geometry, I will use the self-fracture node, which I've discussed in the past. Normally, it's used to fracture and input geometry. By default, when there is no geometry input, it fractures a default cube. You can see more clearly how these pieces are separated using an exploded view node. Right now, this preset is designed this way to quickly generate some debris pieces to be used in this case. We output these fracture pieces as instances and make sure they are instanced at the origin. Can enable pick instance. At this point, every particle is picking one of the fractured pieces. We don't need so many peanuts, even if you are not allergic to it. So I will use a random value node set to Boolean to select only a small fraction of it, and then apply random rotation and random scales. Finally, when we join the geometry, you can see how these debris pieces collide and flow along the surface. However, when we render all the geometry, a major issue appears. The peanuts are buried under the chocolate fluid. Increasing their scale will look ugly. Increasing their scale would look ugly, so we need some ways to put these peanuts back to the surface. Therefore, we use geometry proximity with set position to wrap the particles onto the nearest surface of the final volume. If we play the animation, you will notice some flickering. For example, here we have a large chunk, but in the next frame it disappears. If you investigate it further, you will find that it actually moves to the opposite sides under the collider. This flickering happens because the point is near the middle, where the evaluated distance to the front and the back surface is nearly the same. In that case, the system may choose either side, causing some frames to select the front surface and others to select the back. So in this case, we need to offset the sampled position to skew the evaluation a little more towards the outer surface. We enable back our inner shell and the sample nearest the surface with normal to add with our position only a little bit amount, like 0.05, and output this result to the sampled position. We can immediately see lots of debris are popping to the surface, and that's the outer surface of our chocolate fluid. Finally, we add a surface displacement to the chocolate where the peanuts are embedded. Fortunately, we already have a collision deformer for this. We realize the peanut instances, so the vertex data is accessible. Insert the collision deformer into our chocolate fluids and use the peanut as the collider without repetitive joining. At first, we don't see any effect, so I will make sure we have enough subdivision for the displacement by checking the wireframe. And then adjust the parameters such as increasing the margin. Normally, the collision deformer creates depressions to avoid collisions, but here we will reverse the direction to create elevation. I will lower the strength slightly and increase the size. Sometimes you can also soften the result by increasing the smooth position value. Finally, we set shade smooth. That's the overall animation. We've spent a lot of time in this tutorial, but the node tree itself isn't very complex. Most of the time were spent to discuss some potential issues you encounter or limitations that may remain for a long time in Blender workflow. In any case, this shows how I made the animation. There are additional issues addressed in the final render file, but they are beyond the scope of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll probably see you next time. Bye bye.